if you're new to the show, you're going to need to understand my Raider rumor scale. So, take me there. 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. This rumor, not going to happen. 1 Chucky head is a small shred of truth. I like to think 25% chance of happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking. This rumor's 50-50. 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely 75% chance this rumor's going to happen. And then 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby. 100% this rumor's going to happen. First rumor up here on the board. Alabama would beat the Oakland Raiders. I'm giving this one 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. And I am so sick and tired of every bad NFL team, of some kid going out there and saying, oh, Alabama would beat them. No, they wouldn't. It's a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds going up against full-grown men. How many NFL players are on Alabama's team? Let's say half. Let's say half of them end up going to the NFL. Guess how many NFL players are on the Raiders? All of them. It's not going to happen, the fact that Alabama would win. So some kid on YouTube, his name is C4. You can go look him up yourself. He basically makes his own roster of Alabama players and does a simulated game against the Raiders and basically says that the Alabama, after a simulation, would beat Oakland 21-0, which I think is a bunch of hot garbage. So that's his score. I want to know your score. If the Raiders played Alabama, what would the score be? So, comment below, predict the score. Honestly, for me, I think the Raiders would win like 45-21. That's my prediction. I want you guys to comment below. Alabama versus the Raiders. I don't want to see too many roll tides. Next rumor coming up here on the board. Blake Bortles is going to be a Raider next season. I'm giving this one 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. And this one's from Fanside. And then Fanside, let me just say, I'm pretty sure some 11-year-old write this one. So, basically, the way that this would go is the Raiders would ultimately get a second-round pick from the Jags and Blake Bortles. And what do the Jaguars get? They just don't have to deal with Blake Bortles anymore. Do you remember when the Browns had so much extra money that they went out and they traded for Brock Osweiler for an extra pick? They basically said, sure, we'll just eat $17 million. That's basically what the Raiders would have to do in here. They would eat the $16.5 million Blake would be owed next year and just get a second-round pick. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think AJ McCarron, honestly, is actually better than Blake Bortles. But here you can look at Blake Bortles' season stats, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He's got a few more fumbles that I couldn't fit on screen there, but no big deal. Blake Bortles definitely is not the answer, and I would go nuts if he was in silver and black next year. So, I want to know from you, would you rather trade for Blake Bortles or get Cole for Christmas? I'll be honest, I'll take a huge lump of coal. Heck, Santa, if you're watching, I'll take 2 orders of coal over Blake Bortles. So I'm typing my C there. That's just not ultimately what I want. And if anybody wants, I have a question. Do you want free money? Do you want free money for Christmas? I know I do. And this is the way how you're going to get free money. You're going to go to BetDSI. Just think of BetDSI as Santa Claus. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Remember to use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. Mitch, what does that mean? You put down $50. You get $60 for free. You put down $100, you get $120 for free. If you're a big baller like Santa Claus, put down $500, get $600 for free. Shout out to BetDSI for hooking us up with the best promo code on the internet. Next rumor coming up here on the board, the Raiders got a whole bunch of money to spend next year. I'm giving this one 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby. Now, the Raiders have $77 million in available cap space according to overthecap.com. Now, if Donald Penn, Jordy Nelson, and Whitehead don't return next year, you could be looking at the Raiders having close to $95 million. And personally, I don't think Jordy comes back. I've already said I think he retires. I think Donald Penn's not going to be a Raider next year. And I think Tahir Whitehead probably not going to be a Raider. So I think the fact that they could actually have close to $100 million in spending money, or just one John Gruden, is something pretty interesting that the Raiders could be looking at. And they could go out and get some bigger name free agents to ultimately build around this team. So, speaking of free agents, who's the top free agent that you would want the Raiders to go out and sign? Could it be Le'Veon Bell? I said Le'Veon Bell before. Heck, somebody mentioned in my Raider Nation rumors on YouTube that they want us to go out and get Randall Cobb. That one I'm not too crazy about. So, I want to know from you, who's the top free agent you want the Raiders to sign in 2019? Next rumor coming up here on the board is from me. And are the Raiders going to make the playoffs in 2020? Now, I don't have 2020 vision. Oh, wait. I do have 2020 vision, but I'm actually only going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, and I think it's pretty likely. Believe me, I wanted to say 4 Chucky heads, and even putting 3 Chucky heads is a little ballsy. I really think it is. But when you look at the fact that they have $95 million to spend in free agency in 2019, they could potentially add some key players there, but then they have 3 first-round draft picks in 2019, big time there, 5 of the first 65 picks, and they could potentially have 6 of the top 90 picks. So, a lot of money to spend in free agency. We get 6 out of the top 90 players, and then let's give them an entire year to work together and then learn that Gruden system one more time. Hey, all I'm saying is I think the Raiders are actually a legit playoff contender in 2020. So, I want to know from you, do you trust the Raiders process? If you're on Facebook, give me a wow face for yes. Give me an angry face for no. I trust the process. I really do. I think when I see what Gruden's doing, sure, that they're struggling this year. But when you see that much money, that many draft picks, I really truly believe that Gruden is doing the right thing. So the Raiders, I think, are going to be looking good in 2020. But I'll be honest, I'm gonna live in the moment right now. I think I look pretty good. And that's because I'm wearing some Mizzen and Maine. So if you guys want to look as good as me, you go to comfortable.af. Mitch, why is it comfortable.af? Because these shirts are indeed comfortable as F. Next rumor coming up here on the board, Donald Penn. Is he going to return? Oh, man, this is a tricky one. I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky heads. People are talking. So Tom Downey came out and said yesterday on NFL Daily that Donald Penn could potentially return. He's been on the injured reserve since October 3rd, and he is close to becoming eligible. But here's the thing. If Penn returns, it means Marshawn Lynch can't, which I find really interesting. Now, Penn is 35, and he could ultimately fill in for Brandon Parker, who has just kind of been a fill-in player. He hasn't really been all that great, but it's been good for the young rookie to at least get some playing time. And in terms of Donald Penn returning, though, man, I don't know if they should. I don't know if I ultimately want them to. So, now I'm going to ask you this. Should the Raiders activate Penn? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Like, I think activating Donald Penn helps the Raiders win games. Do we want the Raiders to win games? Like, do we risk bringing back a 35-year-old? The biggest risk is if he comes back and gets hurt, the Raiders are then responsible for even more of his salary next year. So, hey, Donald, maybe you should just sit out, my man. Next rumor coming up here on the board, AJ McCarron will play in Week 13. A lot of AJ McCarron rumors and news around this week. I'm going to give this one Chucky head, and I think it's a small shred of truth. And I have to give it 1 because, sure, anything can happen. Derek Carr could get hurt. But the reason why this is rumors because some of the blog boys were coming out and saying, oh, my Lord, I can't believe I just said blog boys. They came out and saying that Carr is going to be benched for AJ McCarron. Why? Because Carr injured his ankle in the 4th quarter versus the Ravens, and Gruden came out and said that he was actually considering putting McCarron in. The only reason why he was considering it, though, is because Derek would have had to leave the game. Derek straight up told Gruden, hey, man, you take me out of this game, and I'm going to be ticked off. I'm finishing this one. Here are AJ McCarron's career stats, not season stats. That's on my bad there. It's got a 64% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 928 yards in 14 games played. I'm telling you, he's not better than Derek Carr. So, next question. Should AJ McCarron get some snaps in Week 13? I've seen it all over the comments section that, yeah, let's see what AJ's got. Why? Go to Google, look at what AJ's got. It's not a lot. I can promise you. Let's let Derek continue to learn. He's had so many new coaches, so many new coordinators, so many new pieces around him. Yes, he's not been as good as what we've seen in 2016, 2015. But Derek's the franchise. I can promise you, AJ McCarron's not the franchise.